fun and interesting team to take a look at. Zac Jackson, the Athletic, Cleveland, where he's about to write for the Browns in the NFL. And he joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. The Super Bowl champs are in town, Zach. And, I find it interesting watching this team on Hard Knocks. You see that Hue Jackson, he really seems to be trying to set the tone, right away. We've got to win games at home. And it should be interesting to see, after the fact, when this all comes out next week, if he's looking at a chance to kind of, show his team that we can step up even for a half if the starters play against this Eagles team.
Well, the Browns are the defending preseason champs, and they're not taking any crap from anybody. So we'll see. It's interesting you guys mentioned Shelton Gibson. He's from here, so the game means a lot to him tonight. And Goddard, the Browns have an interesting strategy when it comes to covering tight ends, and that's that they don't cover them at all. So it'll be interesting to see him tonight.
It's a bold strategy.
I like that.
It's interesting. Greg Williams is an interesting defensive coordinator, that's for sure.
I'll tell you what, to watching those two coordinators is very interesting every week. Those guys seem like they're very unhappy with life.
Hard Knocks has been great. It really has. And that's for me, I'm around the Browns all the time. I think it's had everything. I think it's had something, I should say, for the casual fan, for the TV fan, for the hardcore football fan. It's amazing to watch the number of people and the number of cameras, where it is, and when you know what an NFL training camp is like and the long hours and the various things the players and coaches and executives do over the course of the day and the week to get into that all, it's really cool. So I think it's been good viewing, and I think it's been good for the Browns too, honestly, to just do everything they can to turn the page. Now, they won't prove anything until they win a game and then win another one, right? But to turn the page from the last couple of years and go forward, I think Hard Knocks has been one of the best decisions the organization has made in years.
Well, it's interesting because you said, look, last 2 years have been hell. Do you notice a difference around this team from the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, this is no sarcasm, no BS. They look like a real NFL team. They do. And that's what you get when you actually complete passes in practice, when you bring in a Jarvis Landry, when you bring in a Demarius Randall, when you have Myles Garrett unleashed and comfortable as he's about to be. So, it was just awful on every level. And they still have a long way to go. This is not a playoff team. But I honestly mean that they like Michael Kendricks, for example, they're adding real NFL players, guys who aren't the best but have played, have produced, have won, have been in the league. Like we were talking with Michael Kendricks a few weeks ago about one of the rookie linebackers that he's been tutoring. And I said, when did you get it? And he said, honestly, he goes, I was not ready to be a good NFL player until my fourth or fifth year.
Wow.
And the Browns have been out here with first and second year guys forever. And so that just explains a whole heck of a lot.
Obviously, one of the big stories for you guys has been the quarterback position over the years. They haven't had one. They've drafted. They've tried. They finally get a guy at number one, and they brought a veteran in. So how is that dynamic working? Because people were critical, that they took Mayfield when there were so many choices, and people thought, wow, they really reached on him. But has he been the perfect guy, and how's that all playing out? How do you see it playing out?
Well, he's been as advertised so far. He has great feel for the game. He's super accurate, and you can tell guys rally around him. Now, he hasn't played with the firsts or against the firsts at all, and he hasn't won a game. They won't even let him get a snap with the ones because they're worried about the quarterback competition going on. But he's right where they want him to be. They have an actual plan that was to sign Drew Stanton to be the tutor, sign Tyrod Taylor to be the quarterback, and eventually there'll be a passing of the baton. We don't know when that'll be. But the offense, like I said, it really resembles an NFL offense. I think Taylor, he has obvious limitations. But he's been really good. He's been the leader of this team since they showed back up in April. I think Mayfield, again, with and against the seconds, has been really good. And, they will – you'll watch tonight and you'll see both offenses operate like they know what they're doing. And here in Cleveland, that's huge progress.
Zach, how do you predict, just continuing the Tyrod, right? That's how you say it, Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield competition. When do you predict that Baker's going to get this job? Because as you said it yourself, they're rallying around Baker Mayfield. I saw in Hard Knocks on the last episode, I forget which player, but he came up to him and said, man, you're just a winner. You know how to win. Yeah. And we all know it's eventually going to be his team, but are you fearful that they could mismanage when they put Baker in and taking Taylor out, et cetera.
Well, the Browns could mismanage a two-car funeral. So
Exactly.
Yes. But I can't make a prediction or give you an exact answer because it's not a competition. They've taken measures to make sure it's not a competition. So we know that when they get in the season, if they don't win enough games, that Baker will become the quarterback, right? Tyrod is only under contract for this year, and Baker is the number one pick. He's the quarterback of the future. But will that be October? Will that be December? Might they contend for the playoffs, and that's not at all? I think all of those scenarios are in play. I mean, this team is tons better, but they open with the Steelers at home and at the Saints. Like, how are they going to win one of those games? They would have to come together so quickly and play so well. And then all of a sudden it's cranked back up and this is in the discussion, right? So it's so hard to say how they'll navigate it and how they'll go. Taylor operates like a pro, has won more games than he's lost, has played in this league for a long time. He has obvious limitations. There's games the Bills won last year. He had 84 yards passing. So, if they do win and when he does throw an interception, is he going to be the scapegoat? Is the coach on the hot seat? Well, yeah, I mean, there's never been a 1-31 coach before in NFL history, but the ownership here was so adamant to keep him that they did. So there's a lot at play here, but the number one thing is it's not a quarterback competition, and Taylor is the starter until he's not. So it's just awkward, but they've done everything that they can to keep it from being out there.
You mentioned Hue Jackson. Talk about him a little bit more as a leader of that organization, because he's won me over a little bit just watching Hard Knocks, but I feel like everyone falls in love with the team that's on Hard Knocks every summer. So it seems like there's a little I don't want to say disconnect, but I'll say disconnect between Hue Jackson and Todd Haley. It seems like Haley takes a lot of subtle shots at Hue Jackson on Hard Knocks. Do you think Hue Jackson has a good grasp of his coordinators and just the team in general right now? Like, how important is the first few games of this season to Hue Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, it's new to Hue because he called his own plays the first couple of years. But you know what? Everything is new because they did not have a team that could win. Now, should they have won at least one game last year? Yes. Could they have won at least one game last year? Yes. But he has not had talent where you can say, okay, they're going to have a real season, and now he does. So we're kind of into the guessing game, and we'll see how it goes. He's obviously up against it. I mean, when you look at Taylor, Landry, Randall, the guys they acquired, they were basically given away by their old teams. They do have a nice young core of players that should be angry and embarrassed by last year. Like, everybody's out here trying to prove something. But, until we see Hue Jackson win games, he's 1-31, right? And until the Browns win a division game, I mean, they've won one in 4 years. Like, I remember going all the way back to the spring, they get these guys and everybody starts this optimism stuff, which I think Hard Knocks is kind of pushed to the max. Well, this team has won 4 games in 3 years. So wouldn't 5-11 be okay? Like, can't we tap the brakes on the 9-7 talk? So and then that's the question. Well, what's going to be enough for Hue to keep his job? Well, he was able to keep it now, so it's hard to say how this thing's going to go.
Well, hey, we've sat through it with the Sixers here, where the coach is now going on his 6th season. And in the beginning, it was 18 wins, 19 wins, 10 wins. But the sometimes you have a longer view, so we understand it a little bit. Let me ask you, Zac Jackson's with us here from the Athletic Cleveland. What's the Josh Gordon story for you? I mean, the way they're playing it is like, I get it. They're very sympathetic towards this man. He must be a very special person to them in that building. But is he a guy that they can legitimately count on? Does anybody know that?
No, he never has been. But he is a special talent, and he's here. I think part of the reason they've stuck with him, and kudos to the organization in the league and Josh, because even him getting back last year was something I never thought would happen. But part of the reason they've stuck with him is he has been around not enough to achieve free agency. Like, the team owes him has no real financial commitment to him. They're like playing with house money. So even though it does disrupt your chemistry, even though it hangs over everything that you do, like, they're looking at paying a potential top 10 receiver $800,000 this year, right? So they need him here, and they seem confident that he's going to be cleared this week. But for all the mystery and all the suspensions and all the time away, this is a guy that's played 10 games since 2014. This one seems to have an extra cloud of secrecy around it. So I can go by what Hugh said on Tuesday or one day early this week when he said very soon. So the Browns played tonight. Josh Gordon has not been cleared. The Browns practiced on Saturday and Sunday. We'll see if he's cleared then and go from there. But you have to hope that they're smart enough not to count on him. But when you watch him, you understand why. Because I mean, he has smoked away $75 million. He is a top 10 talent in this league.
No doubt about it. Zac Jackson, The Athletic, Cleveland, the Eagles and Browns. Our coverage begins at 7 right here on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, guys.